The latest National Multidimensional Poverty Index or MPI was released on July 17th by the NITI Aayog. It said that as many as 135 million people in India escaped multidimensional poverty in 5 years, between 2015-16 to 2019-21. The latest index, which is based on the National Family Health Survey 5 or NFHS 5 data, shows that the share of multidimensional poor people in the Indian population has undergone a sharp decline to 14.96% in 2019-21 from 24.85% in 2015-16. Rural areas witnessed a faster rate of decline in the incidence of multidimensional poverty, from 32.59% in 2015-16 to 19.28% in 2019-21. The index by the NITI Aayog measures and compares deprivations directly across three components: health, education, and living standards, which are represented by 12 Sustainable Development Goals aligned indicators such as nutrition, child and adolescent mortality, maternal health, years of schooling, school attendance, cooking fuel, among other things. The steepest reduction in the proportion of multidimensional poverty was observed in Uttar Pradesh, where 34.3 million people escaped multidimensional poverty, followed by Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and West Bengal. The report also says that India's MPI value nearly halved from 0.117 to 0.066 in the same time period, and the intensity of poverty reduced from 47% to 44%. Thereby setting India on the path of achieving the SDG target 1.2, which is reducing multidimensional poverty by at least half, much ahead of the stipulated timeline of 2030. The NITI Aayog's report comes a week after the UNDP and the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative released the latest global MPI, which showed that 415 million people moved out of multidimensional poverty in India in 15 years, from 2005-06 to 2019-21, with the incidence ratio falling from 55.1% to 16.4%. So, what are the likely implications of this drop in multidimensional poverty on the larger Indian economy?
It's a positive sign, but it does not really tell us anything in terms of the income part of the people, because most of this is in terms of what has been delivered. It's not in terms of the income which has been generated, which is the second stage which is required, which can happen only when we are able to create more jobs. I think the pace at which we go into the second phase is going to be much slower than what we have seen, because we'll have to distinguish between the supply side and the demand side. When I say supply side, the government has a certain program. It had promised to do certain things which have been done very well. So that is why we are seeing that every household has access to a number of amenities. So when you're talking of multidimensional, we're moving away from the earlier system where we spoke in terms of the calories which are being taken, or when you're talking in terms of the income which is being earned. So we're not really talking too much about that. Now, for jobs to be created, I think there's very limited thing which the government can do, and it is created more in the private sector, especially when you're talking of urban India. Since this period also covers the COVID time when we had lockdown, that was the phase where the government had actually given free food to 800 million people. This is official data. So if 800 million people had to depend on the government for free food, it means that while they had these amenities, they did not really have the power to buy food on their own.
The global MPI in 2005-06 had told us that 645 million people in India were poor. And over the next 10 years by NFHS 4, by 2015-16, when this current government was just starting to function, that number had fallen dramatically to 370 million. That was a real halving over a 10-year period. And let's just remember that over that period, we also have the statistics for actual consumption or income poor. Because not only was the growth rate of the economy 8% per annum, which we've not achieved since then, since 14, but we pulled some 140 million people above the Tendulkar poverty line in a matter of 7 years. In this latest period, 5-year period, I did a double check on this 135 million number. Actually, even this is not correct. There is a reason for that. And this is a revelation I think I want to make on your Business Standard show. It is the following, that they have misestimated the projected population for 2015-16 and considered the population for 1920 as the same as in 15-16. How can that be humanly possible? Every year we add at least 13 to 14 million people to our population. That means over that 5-year period, we added 65 million people to our population. So in fact, when you do use the correct projected population for 15-16 and not the same population as prevailed in 1920 for 15-16, then you get a much smaller a reduction of the people below, falling below MPI from 135 million, as the government is claiming in this report, NITI report, to 118 million. Now you ask, what has all this got to do with the larger economy? I think one connection with the larger economy, I've already pointed out, per capita incomes rose much, much faster earlier and that was the reason why income poverty declined dramatically. We have no evidence to suggest that income poverty has declined. If anything, the opposite, because joblessness was its highest in 2017 and it has only worsened since then, and wage rates have been consistently falling. So there are real concerns.
While we cannot confirm that the numbers are incorrect, the experts agree that the provision of services like electricity and drinking water by the government is a positive. However, they point out that income poverty and employment creation remain significant concerns for the Indian economy that the claims of this report do little to assuage.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
She has ambitions of becoming a brand. Business Standard.